Welcome back to the Business Builder podcast for QuinnyBiz.com. I'm your host, Ron Davies, and today we're going to talk about how to get a free business email account set up in 5 minutes. So, as a business owner, you should know how important a single email could be. To a customer, knowing a business's email address can be the difference between making a sale or potentially getting a bad review. Also, businesses use emails to communicate to one another, so within the organization itself and outward to clients. So using a professional business email address is pretty important if you want to succeed. If you're in the early stages of starting your business, then you should give some consideration to how you're going to come across potential customers with your email address. What will be in your signature file, how will you address them, and so forth. Why do you need a custom business email address? Well, I guess maybe to some people it might seem like too much trouble to set up a proper email address. So they end up having email addresses like, joeschmo2272@gmail.com. This is completely unacceptable, really, for a business, particularly if you're B2B, but for a lot of other reasons as well. So it only takes a couple of minutes. And there are a lot of reasons why you should have a custom business email address. And for one, a custom email domain. And by domain, I mean what you see after the ampersand. So a domain would be like gmail.com is a domain. QuintyBiz.com is a domain. And when you have your own, it definitely helps to promote trust in your company. It adds credibility. It's easier to remember than remembering something at Gmail, and it improves your brand awareness as well. So a business email address is kind of like a calling card. And after you set up an account and you're using it to send professional communications, absolutely sure you'll notice a better response from clients and customers who recognize your brand name right in the email address. Using generic ones like yahoo.com or Verizon.net are really not recommended for business. So like we mentioned before, how did you feel or what did you think of it when you get an email from something like Mr. Hot Dude 1972@gmail.com? Is it an email address that you would trust? Does the email address lend credibility to the business? Well, a business email address should denote a registration, some safety measures, the respectful way to handle questions around spam, and other things that are in professional responsibility that are just not present with a regular Gmail type email address. And another thing is too, a lot of business email has so many features that help you. So you can get a lot of other tools along with the business email address. And typically the cost for a business email address is between $3 and $5 a month. We use our own attached to the hosting that our website is on, and it always kind of shocks me that there are web companies out there that don't provide proper email addresses to the businesses that hire them to build websites for them. So they'll have this website at joesshop.com, but the email address will be joebloggins273@hotmail.com. It's just such a huge disconnect. And in marketing, we call it brand blur, because what you're doing is you're saying, well, my brand is joesshop.com, and I'm blurring that by having an email that's not at joesshop.com. It's somewhere else. So I might even be phishing or spoofing. I might even be faking my email. So how do you find a domain that's right? And by the domain, again, we mentioned before, a domain name is things like gmail.com is a domain name, QuintyBiz.com is a domain name. So what's the right one for you, and how do you find it? There's lots of ways to do it. You can go to any of the domain name checkers that are online at Bluehost.com, GoDaddy.com. All of them have places where you can enter in a term and see if your domain name is available. If this is something you get stuck on, we can definitely help you. Just drop a note at QuintyBiz.com on the contact tab, and we can help you with that. And what should you look for in an email service anyway? Pretty much all hosting providers where your website is, for example, offers business email of some kind. There are even hosts that don't configure this for you at the beginning, though. You have to make the changes yourself. This is why you need to look for email service providers that offer good customer support and a reasonable price. Nobody should be paying $12 or $20 a month for an email address. The very best ones, like I said before, are typically under $7, and they're as cheap as, I think Bluehost is about $3 US, mind you, a month. They're very easy to use once they're set up. They can be configured in your mobile device or in your laptop, and this would be the email address that you would have on your business card, and in all of your signature files you would make sure that email address is there. If you get an email from myself at quinnybiz.com, you'll see that I have ron.davies@quinnybiz.com is right in my signature file, which ideally lends credibility to me and says that this is a guy that actually works there, and that quinnybiz.com is a real domain. So I've registered this domain, and that too is pretty easy to do. Once again, if you get stuck, just drop us a note. So if you're looking for what kind of layout would it look like, you could have, say, john@businessname.com, or you could have john.smith@businessname.com. In fact, that's how we do all of our naming here, is first name dot last name at domain. So mine is ron.davies@quinnybiz.com. You can even use letters. So you could have like john.s@businessname.com. So there's lots of choices, and you can have a lot of options on how you do it. The easiest one to use probably is the free business email that Bluehost provides. If you go to bluehost.com, you just create an account. It's very straightforward to do, and you can get email there for, I think it's $2.95 a month, and it has a lot of features, lots of space, lots of additional features. You can even set your own domain up to work through Google. It's a little bit more complicated, and that's why I tend to have people lean towards Bluehost, because Bluehost is very intuitive and easy to use. Once you're set up, you can create as many of them as you want. Zoho is probably an 8 out of 10 for difficulty for setting up there. So the key here is to start thinking about shoring up and strengthening your brand by avoiding the email platforms that kind of make people raise their eyebrows a little bit. You want to have it hosted on your own domain, and it comes with usually a lot of tools. If you do it on Google Business, it gives you, of course, spreadsheets and storage and all these kind of wonderful things. And if you want, we can shoot you over a cheat sheet on this. Just go to quinnybiz.com and click on the contact box and ask for the business email cheat sheet, and we will send it right over to you. That's it for today. We covered how to get a free business email account and set it up in 5 minutes for quintybiz.com. This is Business Builder Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Davies. I hope you have just a wonderful day.